Hello everyone, I'm back with the next episode of Behind the Scenes. All these years at Bayut and Dubizzle, I've seen so many innovative products come to the market, solve problems for our end users. It is my pleasure today to invite the Director of Product, Muneeb Farooq, and let's talk about what his team has done over all these years. Muneeb, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know that you're a very busy person. Thank you for taking the time out to do this for us.
Thank you, Charles.
Of course, our entire team is looking forward to this. And looking at how the industry has progressed, looking at how many different teams have been employed within a particular company, can you give us a quick insight in terms of what is a product team? How has it evolved over the years?
The concept of product management initially came around in 1931 when Neil McElroy, the then founder of Procter & Gamble in the US, wrote a 800-word memo in which he described that there was a need of a brand man or a marketing man to take care of the entire product lineup that P&G had at that time. And then he also argued that there should be multiple brand men that should take care of individual products.
Right.
And at that time, within FMCGs, because production was a very high level thing and it was a complicated thing, you couldn't have just-in-time production. So the product manager or the brand man at that time was just responsible for the placement, the pricing and the promotion of the product. Fast forward to the advent of tech a few years later, and we see that the role of product manager becomes way more relevant even on the production end. And on the production end, because it had to do with engineering, the product managers or the product teams used to report within the engineering team or within the marketing teams. A few decades later, like in the last few years, we've seen that product has become an individual team in these years. And that's primarily because there were conflicting priorities between tech and marketing, and the product started becoming sidelined. And now product has its own independent autonomous function within companies and a seat at the CEO's table.
All right, so just to expand that concept a bit more, how is product different from tech and from marketing, for example? What is it that you do differently?
Product deals with the what to make.
Okay.
Tech deals with the how to make it, and marketing deals with how to get it out there, how to get the word out there to customers and consumers.
Now, considering all the innovation that goes on behind, we see products evolve and so on. Can you explain a bit about our product journey in terms of where it starts, what goes about?
So I'm not sure about what our regional companies in the UAE do, but I've seen a number of companies in the global arena, and they tend to look at the technology that they have and then they try to figure out what product to make. Once they figure out the product, they look at how to market or sell it. But at Bayut, we tend to look at what the customer needs, what problems the customer faces. We care deeply about the user experience that we have on our products. So we have a vision of the future. We think about how can we take the customer from where he is to this place that we want him to be. And then we work backwards from there and figure out the technological capabilities that we need to have in order to create the product that's needed.
We are known for a fairly high number of product releases, updates and so on and so forth. Can you give your comments on that?
We tend to have a couple of very smart and talented engineers back in Romania, in Pakistan, and even in the UAE. And we have a very solid, ambitious, driven product team within the UAE as well. So all of these people really help us drive the products that we have, and they ensure that each of the products that being managed over here keeps on getting updated, that it doesn't get outdated at all. Moreover, when you ask me this question about having a lot of releases, it feels like, so there's a sense in this question that maybe we just come up with a lot of ideas and then we try to push everything that we've thought about through, or that we tend to all requests.
Right.
But we're a super focused team. Our tech, our engineers, our product managers, our designers, they're all super focused and trying to solve a number of different problems. And the thing about focus is that you have to say no to a lot of things. And we say no to 100 things while prioritizing that one most important thing that's going to make the cut for the final development.
With all these products that we have, with all the developments that's going on, Is there any particular inspiration that comes to you for these concepts of making the products, of course?
Well, I think that inspiration is a very overloaded term. Primarily because the act of creating things, the creative process itself, is often mythicized in our tech cultures. There's a sense that ideas are flashes of genius that happen to people all at once. If you look historically at all the great products and great companies that were developed based on products, no great product or idea was developed based on some inspiration that came at all at once.
Eureka.
In fact, there's no eureka moment. And that's true for Bayut as well.
Right.
Bayut products are not developed based on just one idea. There are a number of different ideas that come together. And I wouldn't say there are moments of magical inspiration. We look at feedback that we get from marketing, from sales, from operations, from customer support. And we really try our best to stitch all the dots together.
So that's where we get all these concepts for our amazing products. But Muneem, let me just ask you this one more. Just a follow-up on that. And this might be like asking a father which is his favorite child, but do you have a favorite product?
So I love all Bayut products. I think all of them are great, and you should definitely give them a try.
All
if you
right.
haven't already. But okay, if you're really going to ask me about one specific product, I want to mention True Value over here. It's a price valuation tool that we've just recently launched. It gives you a price spectrum of where a property, certain property should be placed. You plug in information related to location, bed, bath, property type, and the square footage of the property, and it tells you what a fair price, what a high price, or what a great price for the property would be.
Right.
I feel like this tool will go a long way in helping agents understand the market value of their stock, and will also help buyers and renters understand whether the price that they've been given is a good price or a price that they should probably negotiate further on. One thing I want to mention about this tool is that it's built on machine learning and artificial intelligence, and we've considered around millions of properties, millions of historic properties on Bayut and Dubizzle, and we've taken different data points to understand what the exact valuation should be. So the accuracy of the price ranges that it gives you is quite high.
Now let's take a step back. Let's look at Muneeb personally. And what I'm curious to understand is, was there any moment that you can describe where you've come into this product management role?
Like I mentioned earlier, I don't believe in these magical inspiration moments. More like I think that they don't exist. I think having a passion is a gift. You don't pick your passions, they pick you. And I feel like I had a passion for technology from a very young age. And I always used to try to understand how it works, what is it all about when it comes to computing or networking or the internet. And at 12 years of age, I learned my first programming language, which was the Squeak programming language. At 14 years of age, I created my first website that I sold at that time for around $150. It was a big amount for me because that was the first money that I earned at that time. Created a number of different tools between the time I started working and throughout my college years. When I went to college, I already knew programming, I already knew computing, so I opted for a liberal arts and a social sciences major. Along with that, I went with a computer science degree as well. I studied all the advanced courses at that time. I created a lot of different solutions for different student societies at that time. Had a few freelance projects as well that I took care of. Upon graduation, I focused on connecting real people with technology. And that's something that really intrigued me as to how can you make technology so human that it actually solves challenges of the real world. So I joined an organization which was focused at solving age-old problems of governance in the public sector. At that time, I created various tools for healthcare, for the police. We used to map crime to understand how is crime moving from one place to another, resulted in a great reduction in many areas. I worked with the judiciary back in Pakistan and digitized their entire process. I worked with the prosecution department to improve their processes as well. At that time, I worked with different transnational organizations such as the World Bank, UKAID, USIP, USAID, and DFID. So all of that experience was basically just around creating products that helped people, that helped improve people's lives. After that point, I moved towards the corporate side, and I realized that there were a lot of different problems that EMPG was trying to solve for millions of people, and here I am.
So just to summarize that entire thing, your CV would look like a menu card essentially.
Well, I try not writing enough on my CV. This is probably the first time I've tried explaining my journey.
The entire thing.
Yeah, something to think about for me as well.
So that's something that we're also curious about. Well, when you're not thinking about these products, when you're not trying to solve problems, what is it that you do to sort of switch off?
Well, I'm always thinking about Bayut and Dubizzle, and I keep thinking about the different problems our customers face, how we can improve the user journey, how we can improve our products. So I'm an obsessive runner, obsessive jogger, and I try to make sure that I go for a run for a few kilometers every day. Even then, I'm mostly thinking about Bayut and Dubizzle. I was interested in social sciences. I took that as a major in my university as well. In my free time, I do think about global issues, issues that different countries face, and I think about how the world can be a more equal, a more equitable place. I feel like there are a lot of people out there that do not get enough a good quality education, or that do not get enough opportunities in terms of employment. So, and these people are really talented, and they're spread all across the world, and they come from different economic and social backgrounds. So I would really want to be able to contribute to something that improves the lives of these people, that gives them an equal opportunity, that gives them a chance to make it big in their lives. I would want to see the world to be a more equal, a more equitable place.
Given the high level of aspiration that you have, is there any particular idol that you look up to?
There are many idols that I look up to. If you want to go into the famous culture where you look at founders and people who've made it big in their lives, I would say Steve Jobs is right there at the top. But even if you look at their lives, I feel like when you're idolizing someone, you need to be able to understand them. You need to know how they did professionally, personally, and what kinds of challenges they faced, how did they deal with all of those challenges, and how they were at a human level. While I really respect Steve Jobs for the fact that he revolutionized many industries, I think that there isn't enough information available to understand how he would have acted in certain scenarios. So, same for all of the other famous people. So I try to connect with people that are around me and try to see examples of how they deal with different things, and then try to idolize them. Or to that, and I think that in the last 4 years, I've been lucky to interact with our CEO Haider Ali Khan, who's actually just brought this company, a baby company out, and it's one of the biggest companies in the UAE now. Yeah. And the kind of perseverance and grit that he has, I really respect that. I've personally learned a lot from him, so he would be right there when it comes to the professional side. On a personal note, I think one of the only idol that I have is my mother, who's a very strong, persistent woman.
Wow.
She has taught me great values throughout my life, and she's taught me how to never back down from a challenge and how to never give up, and I think that has gone a long way with me.
Muneeb, talking about the product team, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious about this. If someone was to join your team, what are some of those tips that you might give them?
So with product management, I'm sure a lot of people try to understand what it is, and people are fascinated by the idea of developing products, of solving challenges. And I want to tell you that even at Bayut and Dubizzle, we don't have a specific preference of which college major or which discipline you come from. We have people who are social scientists, we have people who've studied economics, we have people who've studied engineering and even management or marketing. So the key thing that we look for is that you should be curious enough to explore different problems that exist. You should be passionate enough to solve the problems that people have. So it essentially revolves around problem solving. So if you're interested in product management, I would suggest you start by being curious about the problems around you, and start by trying to solve problems that people face.
Now let's do something a bit more fun. Let's just loosen this up a bit and do some quick fires. Few questions, all right? So the first one, what's your favorite drink?
I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid.
Your own?
I'm just kidding, it's Coke.
It's Coke.
I love Coke, but I can't have enough of it because of the sugar content.
All right. Fair enough. That's one. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Right. All right. Which car do you drive and why?
So I drive a German car. Why? Because that's the only car that I drove and thought like buying. I did not have a specific preference for getting a specific sort of a car. I just found that the car was comfortable and it was very user friendly. The engine was really good. It had a really good drive. But now if I think about it, I think that I love German cars.
Right.
Having driven just one car, which tells you about how great German engineering is. It's sort of synonymous with quality, efficiency and innovation. And in the future, if I have a choice, I would go with a German car again.
That coming from our director of products, so get a German car, guys. That's what we're doing wrong. All right, so the last one, do you have a favorite quote?
There are a lot of quotes that I would consider my favorite ones. But there's this one specific quote from Steve Jobs' Stanford graduation speech. It's a very famous speech and a lot of people have listened to it. It goes something like, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life.
That actually gives us encouragement because you've taken the time out, to sit with us and for us to know you better. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Charles. It was really nice having this discussion with you. Hope
right.
to see you around.
Thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Behind the Scenes. That's the most I've heard Muneeb speak, to be honest with you all. And I can't wait to bring more amazing people to you. For now, that's it from Behind the Scenes, and I hope to see you soon. And yes, you're not getting rid of me that easily.